I'll say a couple things. One is that getting faster is a function of getting better just by deepening your understanding. Like you get faster at anything by getting better at it and becoming more familiar. And so one reason that I can solve LSAT questions faster than a lot of other people is because I've been doing this for 20 years. This is Valerie, and she's looking to go from a 147 to the low 160s in the next 3 weeks. My name is Steve Schwartz, and I've been teaching the LSAT for the past 20 years. Today, Valerie's going to bring me her biggest LSAT challenges, and I'll help her address them as she looks to improve by 15 points. Hey Valerie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Steve?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. It's great to meet you. Thank you for taking the time to chat for a few. Yeah, I saw from your application you're at a 146, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the highest score I've gotten is a 147.
And you're looking for the 160s, 162 and better?
Yeah.
And how many hours per week do you think that you can put into your prep?
I think what I've been doing has been at least 20, maybe up to 25.
Good, that's solid. It's a good amount of time. How long have you been studying for?
I think it's 7 weeks.
How's everything been coming along with your prep?
You know, I feel pretty good in the sense that I'm understanding it. But what is frustrating is I take a test or I do a section and I'll feel really good. And then I see the score and it doesn't match how I was feeling. And I just feel like I'm at this plateau and I'm not pushing past it.
I hear you on that. You're feeling kind of stuck. Let's talk about one of the most frustrating moments in LSAT prep. You finish a section and you feel good. Like, I totally nailed that. You hit submit, check your score, and it's like the test slapped you in the face. And that moment sucks. It feels terrible. I know because I've seen it hundreds of times and I've personally lived it myself. Thing is, just because you feel good about a section doesn't mean you did well. Now, I'm not saying your instincts are broken. I'm saying the LSAT is designed to mess with your instincts. You can feel confident and still fall for a perfectly engineered trap answer. That's what the LSAT does best. But the good news is you can still train your instincts to match the test's logic. That's where the real breakthrough happens. And so one of the first shifts we make with our students is helping them slow down after the fact. We walk them through why their right answer wasn't actually right, not to shame them, but to show them how exactly the test makers tricked them. Because once you see the trick and you understand it, it loses its power over you. And your initial gut reaction that it feels good, we reprogram that to only fire when the logic is actually solid. So the next time your score doesn't match how you feel, don't just get mad, get curious. Ask, did I actually break down the argument? Did I predict what the right answer should say before looking? Or did I just vibe with something that sounded smart? This is how you close the gap between confidence and performance. And yeah, it does take real work, but once you do it, that feeling of having crushed it will finally match your score. And what kind of resources have you been using up to this point?
So I did the LSAT trainer with its accompanying study guide. I would study it, or do a drill, and then I would go Google other videos, and that's, I'd watch a lot of your videos. And that's when I looked into signing up with you and thought, you know what, let's try this. Let's pivot. Let's add something different. And to be honest, I'm enjoying it. But then what's frustrating is I'll watch the live classes or I'll read or do whatever. And I'm like, I get that. That makes sense. And then I go to a question and I feel like I'm constantly falling for the trap answer. I'll do a section specifically of logical reasoning, and I get like the first 12 to 14, all of them right, and then I get like 6 wrong. And then it's like right, wrong, right, wrong. It's promising, but it's also frustrating.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It sounds like you really need some more personalized feedback and support to get into exactly what you're getting wrong and why. A lot of students fall into what I call study material worship. They'll buy some giant LSAT prep textbook or enroll in a course, and suddenly they feel married to it, even if the explanations don't make any sense, even if it feels like the logic is written in a different language. They'll keep going page after page thinking, well, this is the thing everybody recommends, so it's gotta be me. But let me say this clearly. If a resource is not helping you get better, you don't owe it anything. You are allowed to drop it. We've worked with tons of students who come in frustrated because their go-to materials just aren't clicking. And the light bulb moment usually comes when they hear a different explanation or they try some new review method, and suddenly that stubborn flaw or assumption question starts to make sense. It's not magic, it's just that they found the right fit. Think of it like exercise. Some people love running, others need to dance, lift weights, or do Pilates. You don't force yourself to become a runner if you hate running. You find the thing that works for you and gets you real results. Same deal with LSAT prep. If you're forcing yourself to keep using a course or a book, or even a review style that feels like it's dragging you down, it's time to pivot. Find the teacher, the method, or the structure that speaks your language. Because the LSAT doesn't care how you got good, it only cares that you did. And if you're not sure what's working and what's not, take a week and try a totally different approach. Then compare your performance and see how you did. That data is going to tell you a whole lot more than any review ever could. Hey, real quick guys, if you're just getting started with your LSAT prep or you're looking for a quick refresher, you can grab your free easy LSAT cheat sheet linked below this video. It's jam-packed full of concrete, actionable tactics you can take and apply to your LSAT prep for a quick score boost, and it's 100% free, so you can grab your copy below. And now back to the show. I mean, do you notice any trends with regard to certain question types?
I did notice on the last few sections that I'm missing flaw questions. I'm not sure what sections are doing this, but I felt like after the weekend update on the LSAT website, when I would go back through and review, it had why this was wrong or why this was right.
Yeah, they just made a change to Law Hub over the weekend. Yeah, they have some explanations in there now.
But it's not on every section at least. So I'm like, I gotta find those sections. A lot of the times the wrong answers I'd get, they would say, this is not a flaw. And I'm like, how am I not connecting the dots here?
Well, with flaw questions, the wrong answers are wrong just because they're accusing the argument of having committed a flaw that it did not do. And so if it had been guilty of that flaw, that would of course be bad. But that's not the particular crime of which it's guilty of having committed. One strategy that can be really helpful for flaw questions is prephrasing, where you predict your conception of the flaw in your own words before you go in and look for it in the choices. So you're laser focused on your prediction as you look into the choices. And it can also be helpful to have a baseline familiarity of the most common types of flaws. Being familiar with those will help. And then of course there are some that are unique to that particular question. And so what we want to work on is first improving your ability to predict the flaw, and then secondly improving your ability to match your prediction with the choices.
Okay.
One thing we can do going forward in the live sessions would be to focus more on flaw questions for you. Let's talk about one of the biggest mindset traps I see. The idea that if you just had more time, everything would click. And I get it. I know it's comforting to think the score you want is waiting for you after a few more months of studying, but time alone is not the answer. Precision is. Think of it like this. If you keep doing the same 50 question drill sets without reviewing them deeply, all you're doing is repeating mistakes faster. It's like playing the piano with the wrong fingering over and over. You don't get faster, you just get better at doing it wrong. And so when we work with students, especially ones who've been studying for a while, we focus less on piling on more practice and more on making every minute count. That might mean spending 30 minutes dissecting one logical reasoning question instead of rushing through 20, or watching a replay of a missed reading comp passage and noticing what your brain skipped, and asking not just what's the right answer, but why was I tempted by the wrong one? That's precision, and that's how your score jumps. So if you're thinking, maybe I should delay my test again, take a breath. Then ask yourself, am I studying more or am I studying smarter? Because if your process is already dialed in, you might not need more time, you might be closer than you think. Now, how long do we have till your test?
I'm taking it August 6th.
So we've only got a couple weeks. Have you been able to join the live sessions yet? Do you expect that you'll be able to join those consistently? Good. I mean, one thing that might be helpful for you, just since we do have limited time, have you ever considered getting more personalized support, like in a one-on-one context?
I mean, it's definitely not something I would rule out.
Yeah, the reason I'm bringing it up is because you are looking for a relatively larger score increase in a really short period of time. So if you want to get you 15, 20 points in just 3 weeks or so.
Okay.
I mean, it could be that you just join every single live semi-private session 4 nights a week, and that could get you there. But what would maximize the likelihood of getting you there faster in this limited time frame, if you really do want to make it happen for August, would be if we were to set you up with some personalized one-on-one support that you can schedule at your convenience. And so if 6 p.m. your time is not ideal with the one-on-ones, if you wanted to do those later in the evening, or if you want to do those on the weekend, we could set you up with a coach who can accommodate your availability. difficulty. If you've ever said, I'm too tired to study, or I should be doing more, or why can't I just push through this, you're not lazy, you're just human. And burnout is not a character flaw, it's a system flaw. Most LSAT students build their study schedule around guilt and pressure. They'll start strong with 4 hours a day, 6 days a week, and feel great for about 10 minutes. Then the crash hits and their productivity tanks. Suddenly, it's 3 weeks later and you haven't opened a single prep test. Here's what we've learned working with students. Sustainable systems beat willpower every single time. Instead of cramming, try treating your LSAT study routine like a gym routine. You don't go from couch to marathon overnight. You build up gradually. You lift light, recover, and then add more weight. For the LSAT, that might look like doing a section or two a day instead of starting off with full exams. Maybe mixing in some review days instead of taking constant prep tests every single day. And studying during the time of day you actually have energy, even if that's at 11:30 p.m. And sometimes it means taking a real full day off from studying. And so burnout is not solved by pushing harder. It's solved by building a plan that honors your energy, your goals, and your actual life. Because the best LSAT plan isn't the one that looks good on paper, it's the one you actually stick to.
And then the other thing that I feel like I'm struggling with is just timing.
Yeah, is that like time allocation and pacing?
Yes.
And is that specifically in logical reasoning or reading comp or across the board?
It's across the board. When I first started, part of the study plan with the LSAT trainer was to take a practice test pretty early on. And that one, I was fine within the time constraints. I didn't love the score, but now I don't know if I'm just not fast enough. That's probably the issue. But I'm sitting around 43 minutes for a section.
Got it. Yeah, that is a bit much. That's roughly 20% more than the time that you actually have available. You're extra 8 minutes beyond what you're allowed with the 35. Let's clear something up right now. Most students who say, I'm just bad at the LSAT aren't actually bad at logic. They're bad at timing. And that's a totally different problem with a totally different solution. If you were to give the average pre-law student all the time in the world to finish a logical reasoning section, they'd probably get 20 questions right, maybe a few more. But if you give them only 35 minutes, suddenly it's chaos. They're second guessing, rereading, checking the clock every 30 seconds like it's a bomb about to go off. Now here's what nobody tells you. LSAT timing is a skill, just like argument structure or flaw types. And like any skill, it can be trained, but not by just doing full tests and hoping for the best. So we teach our students to break down timing into layers. For example, we ask, how long are you spending reading the stimulus? Are you previewing the question stem or not? Are you eliminating answers in your head or actually crossing them out? And do you linger after you've picked your answer just to be safe by double checking? All of this adds up. And here's the most important part. Learning when to slow down and when to move on is the secret sauce. Because sometimes the smartest thing you can do is say, this question is a trap, then flag it, skip it, and keep going. That's not quitting, that's strategy. So, no, you're not bad at the LSAT, you just haven't trained your internal stopwatch. If you can fix that, everything else feels 10 times easier. I'll say a couple things. One is that getting faster is a function of getting better, just by deepening your understanding. Like you get better at anything faster at anything by getting better at it and becoming more familiar. And so, one reason that I can solve LSAT questions faster than a lot of other people is because I've been doing this for 20 years. And so more exposure means the patterns are more apparent. The more you can expose yourself to the most common methods of reasoning and the most common traps, the more prepared you'll be when you see something new. And so for example, in the context of flaw questions in logical reasoning, which you mentioned are an area of concern, if you see a really classic logical fallacy like confusing necessary sufficient, or correlation causation. If you are super solid on those flaws, meaning you've seen countless examples of them, then when you see a new one on test day, you will be more easily able to relate it back to all the other prior examples, and you'll recognize that situation faster.
Okay.
That is a function of just getting more exposure, putting in more reps. A couple of other tips I'll give you as well, since you've only got 3 weeks. One would be time allocation within logical reasoning. The questions are in a general order of difficulty, meaning that the easier ones are earlier, the harder ones are later. And so if you can speed up on the easier ones, you then develop a time bank for the tougher ones that come later in a section. A general rule of thumb for anyone who wants to score in the 160s, as you do, is to solve the first 10 questions in roughly 10 minutes, which is less than the average allotted amount of time. So then you have more time for the tougher questions that need the extra time. So in short, on those first set 10 questions, you trust your gut. No second guessing, just go with it. Everybody gets nervous on test day. It's totally normal, but there's a difference between butterflies in your stomach and a full-on mental shutdown. What I'm talking about here is when your mind blanks out the second the timer starts, when you suddenly forget how to read, when questions that felt easy at home become unsolvable riddles under pressure. That's not just nerves, that's test anxiety, and it's predictable, manageable, and trainable. Here's the hard truth most people miss. If you only ever practice in ideal conditions, with a quiet room, no pressure, wearing your favorite hoodie, you're not actually preparing for the LSAT. You're preparing for some fantasy idealized version of test day. And so when we work with students, we replicate pressure on purpose. Timed sections, strict conditions, even fake proctors. We treat test anxiety like a muscle, because the more you expose yourself to controlled stress, the less it's going to shock your system on the real test day itself. And I'm not saying to get over it or relax more. I'm saying to build tolerance on purpose. Learn to recognize the signs of spiraling early, like rapid breathing, panicky thoughts, losing track of time, and then create a reset routine around that. Sometimes that means box breathing between sections. Sometimes it's as simple as writing down your go-to warm-up question types that get you back in the zone. But the biggest shift is this: stop thinking of test anxiety as a flaw. Start treating it like a variable you can train. Because the LSAT isn't just testing logic, it's testing how well you can think when your brain is screaming. If you can master that, you don't just beat the test, you beat every future high-stakes moment in law school too. Hey, real quick guys, a lot of you have been asking me how you can be featured in one of these LSAT study breakdowns and get feedback on your approach. The only way is to join one of my LSAT coaching programs. You can check out the links below to find out more and to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. And now, back to the show. Then, for reading comprehension, how are you currently allocating your time between the passage and the questions?
I'm trying to keep the passage to around 3 minutes. I'm not sure what a specific time I do for the passage.
Focusing on the questions definitely makes sense. I find a lot of students tend to over-index on the passage, spending too much time there, and then not having enough time for the questions. And so take a look at just where you are exactly allocating your time, because your knowledge and having the data is the first step to knowing where to change course if you do need to. As a general rule of thumb, I would recommend max 3 minutes on the passage, ideally 2.5 to 3 on the passage, not getting bogged down in the details, focusing only on the big picture. What's the main idea? What's the author's opinion? If they could leave you with only one main point, what would that be? Okay. And by the way, as you know, there is typically a main point or main idea question. And so knowing that will already help you solve a couple of them. It'll help you solve main point, primary purpose, author's tone, author's opinion, passage organization, all big picture global stuff. The details, the examples, you can always go back to those to find them when you need to. But I think you're right to focus more on logical reasoning just because it is 2/3 of the test. And so any gains you make there will be doubled across the 2 sections. And so my recommendations for you at this point would be to get crystal clear on flaws, since you mentioned those as an area of concern, and they are one of the most common logical reasoning question types. And then work on your pacing in LR with RC as a third thing.
Okay. On the LSAT, when I signed up to take it, it said something about submitting a writing sample. Is that something that I still need to do? I do that before the LSAT?
Good question. So you will need to do it, but it is unscored. It's not nearly as important as the scored portions of the LSAT. Okay. And so I would recommend not even thinking about it until you've taken your official LSAT. And then after you take your official LSAT, a couple days later, then do the writing sample.
Perfect. Good to know.
Yeah, what else? Any other questions you wanted to cover?
I don't know. I can do this, right?
It sounds like you're really committed and you're willing to put in the time. I mean, that's the most important thing. I mean, we do have a limited number of weeks, and so if you can make this the biggest possible priority over the next 3 weeks and put some other things on the back burner, then you can pick those up afterwards. But the LSAT's the biggest factor, so I'd recommend giving it your all in this last push. Let's talk about something almost nobody teaches in LSAT prep: confidence. Most people think confidence is this magical state that just shows up once you finally get enough questions right, or after you hit a certain score on your practice tests. But real confidence isn't just a feeling, it's a system. And so when we work with students, the most confident ones aren't necessarily scoring the highest yet, but they do have systems. They know how they're reviewing, they know when to pause and dig deeper, and they know why they're getting things wrong. That's what builds trust in yourself. Confidence is walking into a timed section knowing you've built your pacing strategy already. Confidence is reviewing a logical reasoning question and immediately spotting, oh, this is a causation trap. I've seen this before. And confidence is knowing that even on your worst day, you have a fallback plan that keeps you from spiraling. And this isn't just motivational fluff. You don't have to meditate on a mountain to manifest confidence. You build it by showing up every day with a smart system that helps you learn from mistakes without shame. So, if you've been feeling like you just don't have confidence, ask yourself this: what systems am I following that help me trust myself under pressure? If the answer is none, that's great. That means you know exactly where to start.
Well, and that's like, I know I can take it again, but I also feel like if I were to take it, let's say just in September, I don't know if much would change in the way I study between August and September. Just because mentally I've been so focused on August and I'm like so intense on it that then I'm like, okay, as soon as it's done, like the things I've put on the back burner, I can start to focus on. That's why I just felt like I'm in this, let's invest in this and let's give it our all.
That's the move, right? I mean, let's give it your all for this final push for August, see what we can get you. If we get you to 160, that's great, but you may find that you hit the 160, you're like, you know what? I still see more potential. I still see another 5-10 points. In that case, if you want to push for September, we can focus on September as well. But for now, since you've already got August locked in, let's try to make it happen for that.
Awesome. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it.
Of course, it was a pleasure, Valerie. Have a good one. Take care.
You too.